Yeah, they're sweet. They think it's. Oh, not you. I meant down at the. Oh, yeah. They're really. They're really taking care. Like, there's just so much going on in life.
Yes, I did. I would like to see us do this too, because our post office is. Could say no. I did notice that, yeah.
Oh, yes. And that works, the mail.
I mean, we won't get into the fact that whoever designed that had to be several bricks short. I mean, have you ever driven in there to like drop mail off?
I like it.
People back up, go through and stop and drop off mail all in the exact same spot.
Plus, people are backing out.
Yeah.
Betsy got hit there.
Okay,
Right into where-
good evening, everyone.
He's coming in.
Thank you for attending tonight's business meeting. My name is Brad Gotchell. I'm your Lower Paxton Township Manager. And in typical fashion, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of tonight's agenda. Under old business, the board will take action on bids for the 2019 Township Drainage Improvement Project. Under new business, the board will consider an addendum to the Linglestown Life United Methodist Church parking lot lease agreement, further providing for accommodations of the stormwater management user fee. Next, under new business, the board will address two change orders. The first to the mini basin PC2A manhole rehabilitation contract with Able Recon, and the second to the 2018 sanitary sewer cleaning, televising, and testing contract with Mobile Dredging and Video Pipe. Finally, the Board of Supervisors will act upon improvement guarantees and the payment of township and authority bills. And at this point, the members of the board are seated and prepared to begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the, sorry, Norm. I'd like to call this meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors to order. And as we customarily do, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Zumas. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will move to approval of minutes of the meetings of December 18th, 2018 and January 7th, 2019. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 18, 2018, January 1st, January 7th, 2019, please.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Before we head into public comment, I would like to announce that prior to this meeting and following this meeting, the Board of Supervisors will be meeting in executive session to receive information from the township manager and to discuss personnel issues. With that, the podium is now open for public comment on any item not on the agenda tonight. Would anybody like to address the board on an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing no public comment, are there any board member comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like the residents to know that the board's been very busy in the past couple weeks, since we haven't been here for 3 weeks. We have attended all 3 of the firemen's celebrations. Congratulations to Linglestown for their 85 years of service, and to Colonial Park for their 75 years of service. And congratulations to Colonial Park for burning their mortgage on Saturday. We've also attended the Arbor Day celebration at George Park, and on Saturday we all participated in Support the Troops over at Heroes Grove.
Yes, last weekend was a great weekend. The Support the Troops rally that WHP and R.J. Harris put together was outstanding. Our Historical Commission dedicated a plaque which commemorates the death of 3 Ohio National Guard members who crashed into Blue Mountain a number of years ago, and would encourage everybody to go over to the entry to Heroes Grove, and you can see the plaque and read all about it. And there are a number of artifacts which are still out in the case out here.
Yeah, they'll be out there.
We have artifacts here in the municipal building from that crash, and folks are welcome to come and look at them. Any other members have, Robin, you had something else?
And Mr. Murphy, I just wanted to thank you for the flyover.
Yes.
That was, oh my gosh, that was breathtaking.
They were very thrilled to do it. It was 4 pilots from the GAP.
My son was golfing out the country club, and they saw the planes coming, and he said, they were on the 15th hole, and he said, that's from Heroes Grove. He said it was just awesome. And then to see the plane just go, the 4th plane, you know, missing pilot. Yeah, it was, but thank you again for all your hard work and your commission. Yeah.
Our historical commission certainly made the township proud.
Yes. And we greatly appreciated the media coverage that you generated. Particularly, I saw a lot on CBS 21, did a number of reports.
21 was the biggest coverage with Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And 27 was Saturday and Sunday, and Channel 8 was Saturday night and Sunday.
Wow.
That's the most people.
Yes. Yeah. And all honoring individuals who certainly merited being honored. Any other comments, Mr. Judd? Mr. Zumas? Okay. Seeing no other board member comments, we will move to the manager's report. Mr. Godshall?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I have just a few items for tonight, if I may. On a note of positivity here, on a personnel note, Lieutenant Justin DePasqua from the Police Department has been selected to attend the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI's National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. This is an extremely prestigious selection that takes from across the nation and actually into the international field members of law enforcement and brings them to Quantico for a 10-week program that provides coursework in intelligence theory, terrorism and terrorist mindsets, management science, law, behavioral science, law enforcement communication, and forensic science. And it places those law enforcement agents that have been selected to attend this coursework with, the FBI's most prized members, and they teach them throughout this 10-week course program how to engage in all of those various course requirements. So we certainly commend the lieutenant for having been selected to this prestigious program, and he should be served well by his attendance at that program. Next, if I may, the township migrated phone systems to a newer vendor back probably late in 2018, and as such, the old board voicemail number was not eligible to be moved onto this new system. So as a result of this migration, our IT department has set up a new board number that has been live actually since the switch occurred. However, effective June 1, the old board voicemail number will no longer be active. So the public is encouraged to utilize the new number, which is 717-373-1599 immediately in anticipation of this sunset of June the 1st. So if anybody has any questions on how to access the board number and in the old-fashioned or the new, please give us a call here at the Township Municipal Center. But again, effective June 1st, that old board voicemail number will no longer be active. So make sure to use the new one if you want to place a message to the board.
Was that was the only way to get a new system, is to get a new number? Usually, aren't you able to carry over your...
For some reason, the way that number was set up here internally, it wasn't a part of the migration, how it occurred. So we went, from a landline system to a voice over IP system. So things in transition just weren't able to work, and so that line was one of them. So I mean, we could still access the voicemails here, but we're just not able to transfer them appropriately or do things internally that we need to. So the only way to correct that was to give it a new number.
Okay.
And then lastly, members of the board, if I just may, I'd just like to take a moment to share a friendly reminder with residents and guests of our township parks. Lower Paxton Township, of course, takes great pride in the green space that we provide and maintain for the community. With 16 township parks, we have a lot of ground to cover and care for, and we appreciate the support of residents and guests in helping to keep those spaces clean and safe. Please remember to pick up after your dog and place waste in the proper receptacles. Dogs must also be on a leash of no more than 6 feet long, unless the dog is in a designated dog park, which is, of course, at Cole Park. So please help us to keep our community green spaces clean and safe. So with that, that is all I have.
Thank you. Don't go too far because we're going to proceed to old business. And the first item under old business is action on bids for the 2019 Township Drainage Improvements. Mr. Godsall?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. So the township held public bid openings on May 1st for the 2019 Township Drainage Improvement Project. 10 contractors placed bids on the project, which consist of removal, replacement, and installation of drainage infrastructure, including the necessary curbing, landscaping, and paving in the Forest Hills Drive, Timeline Court, Jessamy Court, Continental Drive, and Colonial Club Drive areas of the township. The engineer and staff recommend awarding this contract to Greenland Construction Incorporated, the lowest qualified bidder, at an amount of $887,952, subject, of course, to execution of the agreement and receipt of all appropriate documentation. On a very positive note with this particular point of interest, the engineer had prepared a cost estimate of $1,207,850 for the project, or about $319,000 above the lowest bid, which is in front of you tonight. So, great positive news for that bid.
Okay.
Have we used them before?
We have in the past, I believe, Mr. Weaver has utilized their services.
Yes, we have. We've used them for sewer work. They did a project about 10 years ago. They did a trunk line for us, and they performed
No
well.
issues?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
Do we say this is part of our ongoing efforts to meet our federal stormwater permits, or is that? These are all part of stormwater management?
It's coming at, yes. That's a two-part answer. It is coming out of our stormwater management program. These projects were identified by HRG and the Public Works Director as public safety issues right now based on some stormwater complaints received by Public Works. These projects were designated last year as part of the budget review.
So more public safety rather than meeting our sediment reduction plan?
A little bit of both. When you have failing pipes, you have sediment issues, but this was more of issues addressed by the
Drainage.
property owners and
Right,
public
that's why
works.
we're
Yep.
saying drainage. It's
Yes.
about getting the water off
Yep,
where it shouldn't be.
correct.
Okay.
Or where it shouldn't be, right?
Right, yeah,
Anything else?
yep, thank you.
Any other board public comment? Mr. Trish, I see you standing there. Yes. Good evening. Please give us your name and address.
John Trish, 600 Prince Street. Before I start, Mr. Gutschall, I had an agreement with Mr. Wolf about 20 years ago. I have an annual Memorial Day get-together. I'm a military family. I did my 20 years. I got a son that's on 19 and a half years. My oldest boy did 20 years. Mostly everybody in my family's done tours overseas, and he's allowed to let us do overflow parking in the parking lot here because it's a Memorial Day weekend. I hope that's not a problem this year. So I've always had that agreement with him. He said the parking lot's empty, they're not doing office or work in the building. So,
Okay,
if
well,
that's not a
that,
problem.
John, that's not pertinent to what we're discussing.
No, I just,
However, I'm sure Mr. Gotcha will be more than happy to work with you on that.
I'll stop and talk to you if you like. My question about this is, there's a lot of residential properties listed in this thing where they're getting $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 worth of landscaping done. What exactly did the township do or not do to cause, because this development's not been there more than 25 years. And we've been paying for groundwater and sediment for 20 years. Why, for example, I think it's 2380 Forest Hill. If you scroll across your screen, I think it's 2380 or 2480 Forest Hill. They're going to do $3,200 worth of landscaping. I'm just. What are we going to do there to disturb that property that much, to cause that much renovation to be done?
Well, Mr. Weaver may want to add to this, but any time the township does work that causes private property to be disturbed, we then put it back the way we found it. So that
I understand that,
so that
Mr. Henry.
the private property owners.
What I'm saying, these are properties that have been developed within the last 25 years.
Yes.
They're all along the base of the mountain. It's a single road. Are we?
Right,
we
there's a
digging up
bunch
our
that
whole
say
yard, or-
restore landscaping, so Mr. Weaver could,
Yes, board members, Mr. Trish, to answer your question, the township and the authority have a obligation as part of the easements that we have to restore the property as close to its original condition as when we started. So in order to do that, the engineer has to put money in there to restore the landscaping to where that's where that language comes from. Restore means that we have to put it back the way it was. In order to do that, that's just an engineer's estimate of, you have this much square yards of landscaping that has to be redone after we dig up the yard and put the pipe in. That's all that is. We're not making improvements.
I
putting
understand that,
back
but
what
it's an
was there.
ongoing project, and if you could
It's
see
not
the
an ongoing,
prices.
it's not an ongoing project. This is just a specific project to replace specific pipes that,
Okay, well, what I'm,
okay.
okay, all I'm trying to say is, I don't understand how we're doing that significant amount of damage to some properties, and some of them are very little. And the last question I have is,
You'd have to look at the photos. I'm sure Jeff Klein and HRG, if you'd like to look at photos of the areas that the work is being done, that'll better help you understand without having a picture to see what they're restoring. Anytime you go on someone's property, you have to restore it again as close to its original condition. So I can't really speak to each item.
I mean, I
But
looked
yeah.
it up. I went to Dauphin County Properties and looked at the properties. And they're very elegant properties, 2,600-foot square homes. And I understand that, but it's not. Okay, maybe
You'd have to-
maybe it's just me. I don't understand the cost of living today.
Well, Bill,
Yeah, it's-
correct me if I'm wrong, but some properties have fencing, some properties have trees that are going to be in the way. Some
Sidewalks.
properties do not have trees in the way. I mean,
Every
Sidewalks.
property is going to be
Sidewalks,
different
yeah.
in terms of what the restoration costs
Right.
are, but, yeah.
Okay, then my last question is this. Those sandbag filters, could you explain what that is? I think it's one on there for,
Yes, that's anytime the engineer does a plan, he has to get a erosion and sedimentation control plan approved by the Dauphin County Conservation District. So that the construction plans have the plans that are approved by the county, and that's a requirement of the county plan that you have to have filter bags that when water is going into an inlet, that has to be filtered as the construction's going to keep the sediment that's generated from the job to get into the storm sewer.
okay, so my understanding is correct. It's that black silt that they put under the grate.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
yeah.
and they cost $350 each.
If that's what the bid says.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look out for the township's money, so.
So are we.
Yeah. And as was pointed out, this came in at significantly less cost than what was anticipated, so that is a strong plus. So,
And it could have been better, but thank you.
well, we're always happy to spend less on things. Any other public comment on the issue? Okay, seeing everybody having had their opportunity to comment, do we have a motion on the bid?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the bid from Greenland Construction for $887,952 to restore the 2019 township drainage improvements.
So moved by Mrs. Lindsay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zumas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. There being no other old business on the agenda, we will now move to a number of new business items. Item A is we need to take action on an addendum to the Linglestown Life United Methodist Church parking lot lease agreement. And Mr. Weaver's at the podium for this one.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the
Weaver.
board, thank you. Attached in your packet is the addendum to the lease agreement with the Linglestown Life United Methodist Church for the parking lot stormwater management user fee. Staff received a draft addendum from Pastor George Reynolds that provides for LPT paying its proportionate share of the stormwater management fee for the parking lot area. Staff modified the agreement to allow for the calculation to be in accordance with the resolution 19-01, and we also changed it to provide for LPT paying its proportionate share directly to the authority. That'll save the church from sending the township a bill, township paying the church, and then having church pay the fee. So we have provisions for third-party billing where the authority can actually bill the township for its proportionate share of the stormwater fee. Pastor Reynolds accepted those modifications, and he has executed the addendum. It's in final form and ready for board action.
Mr. Weaver, I'm not seeing a price on that. Do you know how much it's going to cost for us?
There is a map attached. If you open the map up, it's 7.5 ERUs, excuse me. Talking sewer lanes, this is stormwater. 7.5 times the $32 quarterly bill would be $240 a quarter.
Pretty good with math there.
Yeah. And this, I mean, just for the board and for members of the public that may not recall, back in 2006, there was an original agreement that I put in your packet that this was part of the satellite parking that was constructed as part of the Square project. And I have that original lease agreement in your packet as well that provided for 60 parking spaces for use by the general public.
So the township leases 60 spots.
Correct.
And we're amending the agreement so that we will pay our stormwater share of
Yes.
those spots.
So they had the wherewithal to send us this, so it's in place in time for the stormwater fee billing to begin in July.
That was good wherewithal.
Yeah,
So folks can park there. There's no parking meters or fees.
correct.
No, actually, we have no parking meters anywhere in the township, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
No. Unlike a certain smaller city to our west that has a lot of them, we have none. You park here for free, so come to Lower Paxton to eat and shop. The Chamber of Commerce did not pay for that announcement, by the way. Okay, any questions from the board on the agreement?
I just have a question for Mr. Minsker. You had contacted me last fall about the timing with the lights in that parking lot. Were they taken care of? Okay, thank you.
Oh, very good. Yes, Mr. Trish.
John Church, 600 Prince Street. Since Mr. Weaver stated that the church is going to pay $32 per ID residential lot, is that for all commercial properties in the township?
No. No, the $32 per ERU, yes, Mr. Weaver, that would be correct, that
I mean, all businesses.
any non-residential fee would be at the $32 ERU rate, correct?
Correct. Yep, so you basically pay for how many ERUs you have for each commercial property. So some may have 10, some have 20, some have 5, and you basically take that ERU rate times the $32 flat rate that's used for the residential people, and that's how the fee comes up.
Thank you. Satisfied.
Very good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Any other public comment or questions? Any other board member comment or questions? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the addendum to the lease agreement with Lingelstown Life United Methodist Church for the parking lot stormwater management fee.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Judd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item B under new business, we need to take action on a change order. This is change order number 1 to the Mini Basin PC2A manhole rehabilitation contract with Able Recon LLC. And Mr. Weaver, this is yours as well.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have change order number 1 with Able Recon for a contract price increase in the amount of $8,717.46, and also changes to the contract times. The final adjusting change order is needed to adjust the estimated contract quantities to actual quantities installed as part of the project. The total final adjustment is an increase of $8,717.46, which increases the contract price from $263,782.70 to $272,500.16. As you're aware, the change order is required by the general conditions of the construction contract documents, which states that the contract price may only be changed by a change order, and this applies if the quantities are lower or higher than the original amount. So staff and engineer recommend approval of change order number 1 for the increase in the contract amount of $8,717.46 for a final contract amount of $272,500.16. And this also changing the substantial completion to December 18th, 2018, ready for final payment April 18th, 2019. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Well, the next one's going to go down by twice as much as this is going up, so I can do that.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Any public comment or questions? So since you can do that, would you like to make a motion, Mr. Judd?
Oh, dear.
You
I'll
have,
make a motion that we approve the action on the change order. Number 1, to the Mini Basin PC2A manhole rehabilitation contract with Able Recon LLC
in the amount of $8,717.46.
in the amount as stated in the change order, which was, in fact, $8,717.46.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And action on change order number 1 to the 2018 sanitary sewer cleaning, televising, and testing contract with Mobile Dredging and Video Pipe, Inc. Yet another Mr. Weaver item.
Yes,
You're keeping
Mr.
us busy
Chairman.
tonight, sir.
Yes, indeed. So this is attached as change order number 1 for Mobile Dredging, Video Pipe, for the contract price decrease in the amount of $15,723.41. And again, this also changes the contract times. The $15,723.41 decreases the contract price from $176,587.40 to $160,863.99. And again, the reason we have to do this is the standard language does require for final adjusting change orders, even if the quantities are less, that the only way to effectively change the contract is through a change order. And again, our contracts, similar to the last one, are based on estimated quantities, and this is just adjusting the quantities to what was actually installed. I did provide the maps to show the areas where the TVN and testing was done. This was all for the current projects that's out to bid, which we're opening in 2 weeks for the BC2 project. And we also have the maps in there for BC7 and BC8, which are future projects that are going to be under design in 2020 and those projects will be bid in late 2021. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on change order number 1 for mobile dredging.
Any board questions? As you have observed, we're making out on these change orders today.
Not too bad. Yeah,
Not too
that was
bad.
good. And I know it's so, I mean, it's difficult for people watching. You have to estimate. We need to get a contract. You got to set a number.
Right.
And then when you actually do the actual work, then that's where we do the change orders for the difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And the engineers, believe it or not, as you can see from these change orders, are pretty good
close.
at estimating the quantities.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a great job. Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion for action on change order number 1?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 1, final adjusting the 2018 sanitary sewer cleaning, televising, and testing contract with Mobile Dredging and Video Pipe Incorporated. Basically decreasing the amount from $176,587.40 to $160,863.99, which would reduce it $15,723.41.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Weaver. You've moved us through that very nicely. Subdivision and land development. We do have a number of improvement guarantees, letter of credit, a new escrow, reductions, and letter of credit. All are routine. Anybody have any questions about the improvement guarantees? Do we have a motion then to approve the improvement guarantees?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the improvement guarantees for Amber Fields, UPMC, Wind Chase Phase 2, Stray Winds Farm Phase 4, and 9A, Stray Winds Farm Phase 5B.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll now move to the payment of bills for Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Madam Treasurer.
Yes, I make a motion we pay the bills for Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any additional announcements from the board or the manager? The solicitor has been very quiet tonight. Must mean we stayed out of trouble for at least an hour. Thank you all for being here. I will announce the next meeting. We'll have a workshop meeting next Tuesday, May 14th at 7 p.m. And just a word of advance notice, the third meeting this month, which normally would be on Tuesday the 21st, will instead be held on Wednesday the 22nd, because the 21st is primary election day. And we would, of course, urge everyone to go out and vote, and we will hold our meeting on Wednesday the 22nd. But our next meeting, workshop meeting, Tuesday, May 14th, right here. If there's no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.